So welcome back, guys, to another video, and yes, today I'm doing my top 10 games of 2023, and what a year it's been. It's incredible to think about how many games have came out this year. I really feel like there's been something for everyone. So guys, before I get into my top 10 games, leave a comment below on a game that you missed out on this year that you want to play. Me personally, I still haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, and I know a lot of my friends have really championed this game as their game of 2023, but without further ado, here is number 10. So my number 10 is going to be Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion. Yes, this game finally got ported, and ported across the board. Everyone has now a chance to enjoy this game, because this was a game that I would always recommend for anyone who was getting a PSP or had a PlayStation Vita. I'm like, you have to play Crisis Core. I had the pleasure of getting a review copy from Square Enix, and you guys can check out my review. I'll have a title card at the top, but I really enjoy this game. I love the battle system. It's very much an action RPG with a very interesting slot system, and the game does something that I think prequels can do right, and that is knowing the end game. Like, we know what's going to happen at the end of Crisis Core because it's the beginning of Final Fantasy VII, but we get so caught up in the present of the story, and you really start to learn a lot about Zack. You start to learn more about Cloud. You see almost a human aspect to Sephiroth. There's a lot of, nuances that I enjoy about this game, and I am so glad that many folks have a chance to play it right now. My number 9 is Vengeful Guardian Moonrider. I'm telling you, if you are wanting to play an indie title that is just gold standard, look for any game that's made by the folks at Joymaster or Arcade Crew. If you loved Blazing Chrome, guess what? It was the same folks that just did Vengeful Guardian Moonrider, one of my favorite games of 2023. It's a side-scrolling masterpiece, in my opinion. It's a love letter to Shinobi 3, one of my favorite Genesis games of all time. It's got the perfect balance of challenge and control. It's not incredibly hard. It's not going to make you throw your control in frustration. Like, if you die, it's your fault. I absolutely love this game. You guys need to play it. My number 8 is going to be F099. What an interesting title, because it was a title we weren't expecting. It came out of nowhere. And I know some folks were kind of disappointed to know that there was a new F-Zero, but it was going to be an online battle royale instead of a, normal F-Zero. But I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for these retro throwback battle royales. I enjoyed Mario 35. Sadly, this year, Pac-Man 99 went offline. So I enjoy F099, but I know in the back of my mind it's probably going to be only a time exclusive before they pull the plug. So I urge everyone to play F099, because I don't know how long we're going to have it, but it's a lot of fun. I'm not that great at it, but I enjoy playing it. There's something kind of slightly addictive that when you start really revving up the engines and you're just bumping into everyone, and you're going from number 98 all the way to 56, and you're getting that skyline, whew, I'm telling you, it is a fun game and definitely one of my tops of 2023. And number 7 is Resident Evil 4 Remake. Now, if it's not broke, why fix it? And I really feel like Resident Evil 4 is an excellent game. It's definitely a 9 out of 10. So when I found out they were making a remake, I'm like, do I really want to play this? Is this going to be disappointing? Well, no, it's not. Because it's not trying to replace your memories and your experiences of playing the original Resident Evil 4, but it's enhancing that experience with new visuals, new cutscenes, just an all-new game altogether. The Resident Evil 4 remake has that taste of nostalgia without feeling too deja vu. And I think that's what really makes a good remake a good remake. Now, I'm cutting corners with this one because my number 6 is Vampire Survivor. Now, Vampire Survivor's already been out. It's been out for Steam for quite some time, but this year it came out for mobile and it came out for the Nintendo Switch, and I'm so glad so many of my friends are finally playing Vampire Survivor. I remember, a lot of my friends who play exclusive, consoles, I was like, man, you guys need to play this on Steam. And, you know, even the mobile port isn't too bad. And one of those games that you can't judge it by the looks, because it's not a pretty game. It looks very primitive. It looks cheap. And yes, it's a very cheap game to begin with, like money-wise, not quality whatsoever. I'm usually not a huge roguelike person, but Vampire Survivors makes me a fan of roguelikes, because every time I get close to the end and I die, and I can use my experience to just keep on going through this gauntlet-like bullet hell journey, count me in. And there's something slightly addicting and dopamine-inducing when you get that super treasure chest, and it just keeps going and going with the bonuses. It's exhilarating. I love it. Vampire Survivor is awesome. Guys, I am holding a big pile of games from RGG Studios, releases since 2017 with Yakuza 0, and I absolutely love all these games except for one. One game was my most disappointing game of 2023, and that was Like a Dragon Ishin. I really wanted to like this game because I remember when I initially got into the series, thanks to my co-host James Gruesome from Exodus Gaming Podcast, he told me about this game when it was exclusive in Japan on the PlayStation 3, that it was like a Yakuza in a samurai world, and I'm like, man, this sounds awesome. But the game felt so empty, and the reason why I brought all these games out is because I've been playing all these games for the past almost a decade, and I'm like, am I getting tired of these games? Am I having RGG Studio fatigue? Well, I got my answer, and that is Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name, or also what I would like to call the Kiru Kazuma greatest hits. Because this game hits all the rhythms, all the beats, all the nuances that we love about Kiru Kazuma. It's back to the old school style of brawling action. It's a captivating drama story that takes place after the events of Yakuza 6 and kind of intertwines with Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon, and shows you the trials and tribulations that Kiru Kazuma has leaving his life behind and joining a government organization that's just as crooked as the Yakuza faction. Big surprise. But I really enjoyed the game. I thought it was a lot of fun. It has that whole agent gimmick where, Kiru is an agent now, so he has like watches, he has like drones that can attack people. It's absolute madness. As much as I loved Like a Dragon Gaiden, it's not exactly a game I would recommend to newcomers, because I do think of the series as a whole as kind of like a television series. It has seasons, each entry is a new season to the lore. Longtime fans, you're in for a treat, especially towards the end. Without spoiling anything, it's quite emotional. But Like a Dragon Gaiden cemented my love to the series, and I cannot wait to play Infinite Wealth. My number 4 is going to be a game I just recently finished, and that was Sonic Superstars. At first glance, Sonic Superstars appears to be a traditional 2D Sonic game, but diving into it reveals a captivating adventure with up to 4-player co-op, numerous unlockables, creative boss fights, and even a Fantasy Zone Easter egg. Collecting Chaos Emeralds no longer just merely triggers Supersonic or secures a good ending. Instead, it unlocks abilities that, in my opinion, reshape the classic Sonic formula. The more I played this game, the more my love for the game grew. And my number 3 is going to be Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I'm a big Mario fan, and I'll admit, a lot of the previous 2D Mario entries have been fun, but they, kind of felt the same. But this game right here, a lot of people were referring to it as Super Mario Bros. 5, and I cannot disagree. It's got a wonderful, solid control scheme, and it's one of the only platformers I've played in recent memory that has a collectathon that actually feels like it has a purpose. A lot of platformers that are released in today's medium have some sort of trinket or some sort of thing that you have to collect in order to progress through the game. And to me, I feel like it's just fluff. I feel like it's just something to make you go back to the levels over and over again to add some replayability. Where Mario Wonder, those Wonder Seeds adds a whole new element to the game and really introduces some new ideas and some new flavors that we've never seen in a Mario game. Every year I either play Super Mario Bros. 3 or Super Mario World, but I am going to have to add Wonder to that rotation. That game is that good. My number 2 made me buy a console this year, guys. That's right. I got a PlayStation 5 this year, and I got that console because I wanted to play the demo so bad, and that was Final Fantasy 16. A game that honestly I really enjoyed. It's definitely one of my favorites. I mean, it's obviously number 2. I haven't enjoyed a Final Fantasy like this since Final Fantasy X, and it felt really nice, you know, buying a brand new PlayStation console and playing an exclusive Final Fantasy. It really felt kind of nostalgic, but I loved the story. I'm not gonna lie, when I played the demo at the very end, I had to go take a smoke break. I was so captivated by the characters just from that moment. And I know a lot of folks may have not enjoyed Final Fantasy 16 because obviously it's going in a different direction. This is more of an action game than a turn-based RPG that we grew up to love with this series. But I feel like Final Fantasy has always tried to evolve. And sometimes, you know, evolving cannot really be fun for some folks, but I had a lot of fun. As a matter of fact, I felt like the Lost Titan boss battle in Final Fantasy 16 is probably one of my favorite boss battles of all time. That, bar none, it was beautiful. And my number 1 game of 2023 is not just my favorite game of the year, but it might be one of my favorite games of all time. It was a life-changing experience as a gamer, as corny as it sounds, but that is The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. A game that, honestly, I wasn't really that hyped for. I mean, I was excited to play a brand new Zelda game. I loved Breath of the Wild, so I kind of knew what I was expecting. But when I heard about the building mechanic, I have to be honest, guys, I was kind of turned off. I'm like, I don't really like Minecraft. I don't like building stuff. Is this going to be a game for me? And I'm so glad I gave it a chance, because the one thing I had doubts on turned out to be my favorite aspect of the game. I love the problem-solving aspects of Tears of the Kingdom, building and getting from point A to point B, and the way you would play the game could be vastly different than some of your best friends. I would have my friend Mikey come over, and he'd bring his Switch OLED, and we would just sit there and play Tears of the Kingdom. And it was an experience I hadn't had in a very long time when it comes to video games. There's just a certain atmosphere that a good game can bring, and Tears of the Kingdom definitely brought that. Tears of the Kingdom is a straight 10 out of 10. But anyway, guys, those are my top 10 games of 2023. What are some of your favorite games? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts and opinions. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, but also hit the bell so you're notified on all future content that comes out on this channel. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And as always, happy gaming.